days ago, Bethesda released some more information on the coming update and the Season 9 scoreboard. There was even a dev dive episode included in the info drop. There is some exciting information here, so let's get started. Beginning with the dev dive, Fallout 76 community lead Nathan Valenta spoke with lead monetization designer Nathan Emmett, monetization designer Jesse McLean, and lead designer Don Etchton. Nate started off by asking Don what seasons are and how players can take part in them.
Yeah, so a season in Fallout 76, it's always centered around the scoreboard that shows a unique story for that season. This year, it's Dread Island. The way that players progress through the season is by completing challenges that we have in the game, both daily and weekly challenges. And then completing it all gives you awesome rewards.
Nate followed up with asking where Season 9 is taking us.
Yeah, as Jesse said, Season 9 will take us on a journey to the mysterious Dread Island, where the famous Franklin family has crash-landed on the island with their Assaultron bodyguard named Hart. It's based on a book series in World by Robin Zabrinsky, and it's an island full of dangers, both from the inhabitants and the island itself. It's a little more serious in tone than some of our previous seasons, and we hope people really enjoy it as much as we've loved making it.
Don's response was interesting as he mentioned how this season was tied to a book series by Robin Zabrinsky. It's nice to see the lore getting expanded here, even in the seasons, because it really adds new elements to the Fallout universe as a whole. These seasons can spawn so many ideas for those who do radio plays and roleplay and such. Nate continued on by asking Don about how they come up with a season theme and everything that goes along with it.
The creation process for every board has been different, but we always start with the same key objective. Make sure that every board we make is somebody's favorite. Fallout's a very diverse IP with humor, sadness, action, whole world of alternate history to explore. And we like to keep things fresh and continue to explore new aspects of the franchise, while also paying, homage to its long history. For new in-game fiction, we have a phrase we like to use to kind of test if the idea is solid, and we say, does this evoke nostalgia for something you've never seen before? It's a good test for us for whether or not something is kind of pulling the right levers. When we do leverage some of the amazing existing in-game fiction, we always want to make sure we're doing it justice. We're Fallout fans as much as anybody, and getting a chance to explore some of that pre-war society has been a real joy.
Nate then asked how players can learn more about the characters and themes for each season.
Sure, you'll get to know about the new crop of characters from Dread Island in a new hour-long radio drama narrated by the fictional author, Robin Zabrinsky. We got an excellent voice cast and performances in this one. We really can't wait until people can listen in as they tour Appalachia. Prairie Radio in general has hours and hours of dramas, commercials, and music that can help flesh out our in-game world, and definitely tune in if you haven't already.
Don answered by talking about the radio dramas that they have started doing for each season. This is relatively new as they have only been happening for a handful of seasons, and they are truly excellent to listen to. I have even covered one when I did a profile episode for Katie Inkwell, which you can see here. Nate then asked the other Nate about how they decide on what goes into the rewards pool for each season.
Yeah, that's part of the fun. So, as Don's been talking about, we spend an extraordinary amount of time in developing the theme for each of the seasons, and we go further than just what players are seeing on the scoreboard. Like he mentioned, we're developing characters, backstory, lore. When we have all of that written down and encapsulated, we move on to speaking with our art director. We already know how many ranks we're going to be putting in a season. We know its general structure. And so we sit with the art director and he really starts coming up with the ideas for the actual specific rewards that he thinks would be really compelling for our players, really rewarding. And it's a back and forth. It's a huge collaborative effort between our entire team because we're trying to make sure that the items fit the theme, but we're also trying to make sure that the rewards will give things that players have been requesting for a while. We read Discord, we read the Reddit, we listen to our players, and players are oftentimes asking for, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had X? And we will always go back to those wells and be like, hey, maybe we should bring X into this season. How can we integrate it? Does it fit the theme? Is it the right thing to put in? So it's this massive discussion, collaboration, and really, really exciting time to come up with some amazing ideas to make sure that our players are getting the best rewards for each of the seasons.
The concept art here looks amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on some of those items. Nate then moved on to asking Jesse about the new bonuses Fallout First members are getting with this season.
Thanks for the question, Nate. I'm really excited about the Fallout First score boost and how our members are going to react to it. As they progress through the Season 9, there's going to be 3 different spots on the scoreboard that when they unlock all 3 of them is going to give them 25% more score for the rest of that season. And that includes all the way up to rank 100 and beyond into our post 100 ranks.
So that's 25% maximum.
That's correct, yes.
Awesome.
Nate followed up by asking how this new boost to the score will be affected by things like double score weekends.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and something we wanted to communicate really clearly to the members. So in-game, the challenge screen will always show you the amount of score you're going to get for completing a challenge. So it's really easy to just go in and see, okay, this challenge is going to give me 1,500 score. So the math behind is if you have a challenge that's worth 1,000 score, and there's a double weekend, you'd get 1,000 for the regular, you'd get 1,000 for the double score, and your 25% boost is applied to the base challenge. So you'd get 250. So in this case, you'd get 2,250 score for completing a challenge.
Nate then asked about another Fallout First season feature where First members get bonus challenges.
Yeah, so Fallout First challenges are going to be represented in the challenge menu with a Fallout First icon. Players who have an active Fallout First membership will be able to complete these extra challenges. They're going to help you progress through the season faster, and they can be either daily or weekly challenges. And you're just going to have to check in the game to see what's active during the season.
So they can be daily or weekly. Is there anything that's unique about these? Are they different from the other challenges that are already in the game?
These challenges are going to be very similar to existing challenges. We're going to rotate in what a Fallout First member can do every day or week. And you're just going to have to check in game each day to see what the Fallout First challenge is.
Nate then switched back to the other Nate by asking about the Fallout First rewards and how they are determining what First members will get during the season.
Yeah, so this has been something that we've wanted to add for a long time. Like you mentioned, we've had some already, but we want to expand it. We've had a lot of our members asking for more of Fallout First to be represented on the scoreboard, and this is one of the ways in which we're trying to do that. So players will find a whole bunch more rewards who are members. They're going to largely be consumable items that we've seen and offered previously. So you can imagine our normal repair kits and Jesse was talking about the score bonuses that will be available. Those will be coming on to here as well. And we'll also have some exclusive vanity items. So some of our normal earnable objects that players have already been experiencing. There'll be a couple as well that will be available for our Fallout First members. That we're hoping that the variety that we're bringing here is something that really meets the demand of the requests of our players, and something that we're going to be continuing to follow up on and watch going forwards and adjusting as needed.
So this season will look a little bit different for Fallout First members. Now there will be more spaces that have First rewards. The only bad part is that most of them are going to be consumables. At least First members are getting a bit more love in the seasons. Nate then asked which season each of them liked the most so far.
Sure. Without hesitation, without a doubt, it's Katie Inkwell and Escape from the 42nd Century. We mentioned before about the entire visualization process, building the theme for each season, building the character histories. And when Dawn came to our group with the dolphins, I mean, it was just one of those moments of, yes, this, absolutely. And in addition to that, he had one of his designers on his team building out the dolphin posters, like the Nuka Girl, but in dolphin form. I mean, it was just instantly fell in love, so much so that the moment I got a digital copy of that, I set it up. It's my avatar for Slack in our in-work Slack. Like, that is my avatar. I love the creativity, the hystericalness, but also this very serious and pulpy nature of the entire Katie Inkwell story, but especially the 42nd Century. Hands down, my favorite.
That is a good one. I think some of those dolphin gear even spawned a couple of articles from news sites. Don, how about you?
Yeah, I think A Better Life Underground, featuring a disturbingly large amount of Vault Boys, is a personal favorite. We had asked ourselves when we started that, how many Vault Boys can we possibly fit on one square? The answer was a whole lot. And I think the accompanying soap opera, sponsored by Abraxo, is also easily one of the most ridiculous things I've ever done in my career. It was a real joy making something that was just kind of over the top and really just very, very Fallout.
Definitely. I remember when that scoreboard art was first in the game, and I just spent longer than I'd like to admit just looking around at what all the different Vault Boys and Vault Girls were doing.
We wanted one joke per inch was the mantra.
Oh, nice. I like it. Jesse, how about yourself? You got a favorite season?
I'm a big superhero fan, so anything with the Unstoppables was definitely going to be high up on my list. I also really liked the superhero sidekick outfits from that season. I thought those were really fun. I will say, however, that my favorite season is one we haven't talked about yet, so you'll have to keep looking for that one.
Jesse mentioned that his favorite ones are with the superheroes. He then said that his favorite one has not been mentioned yet, meaning that it has not been yet announced. That tells me that we have another superhero season coming. I can't wait to see what they have next. Nate then asked about how community feedback affects the development of seasons.
Community feedback is everything. It really, really is, because that is how we find out what all of our players want to see in everything that we're developing. Or we're constantly reading what's being posted. We have our community members putting together huge digests of the requests from our players to make sure that we're not missing anything. Whenever we are putting together a new season, we go back to those lists, we're reviewing what folks are talking about, and we're trying to find ways to implement those requests, those items. I mean, there are way too many good ideas than we could ever possibly add. We try to bring in as much as we can, but there's ideas and stuff that we want to add in, that we want to show to players, new ideas that we want to experiment with as well. So we try to find the balance of all of that. But without the community feedback, I can't imagine that our systems would be nearly as good as they are today.
Nate followed up by asking about future seasons.
Well, I mean, yes, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. I will, however, leave y'all that, some special bubbly friends of ours might be making a return, so keep an eye out.
So, no real information here. Nate then asked if they have any interesting stories from developing seasons.
We've made a lot of boards that never left development for one reason or another. And I think two that stand out to me that, myself, Jake Rigmore, and Ashley Mosley did early on were solo outings for the unsung members of the Unstoppables, the Inspector and Manta Man. For the Inspector board, we'd had her on a journey into the heart of a magical castle, filled with strange artifacts. In the end, though, it ended up kind of feeling like a Scooby-Doo version of Clue, which was just not the right fit for Fallout. And for Mantarand, we tried what I think DC has tried many times with Aquaman. Make that character cool and interesting on their own. Quite a bit of work later, we learned the fairly obvious lesson: Manta Man is not cool. Fish powers will never be cool, as much as we would like to try.
Or Manta Man. All right, Nate, how about yourself?
Yeah. So we're coming up on Season 9. We have 8 of these that we've gone through. It's an enormous amount of time, and there have been so many hysterical moments in developing this. Like Dawn mentioned, there are a ton of seasons boards that they ideated that never came to life, and some of them are just too funny. But probably my favorite moment, I've got 2 that are relatively quick. My first one is, I mentioned before, I changed my Slack avatar to the Dolphin Nuka Girl. When we are developing these boards, we're pretty tight-lipped about them internally, because we have so many that get discarded. We don't necessarily want to get anyone's hopes up internally. But we knew we were going to do the dolphins. And so I changed my Slack avatar to that. And it took weeks before people noticed that it was the dolphin Nuka girl. And people started asking, like, where did that come from? Where did that come from? Because we hadn't shown them the dolphin board yet. So I loved kind of creating this internal anticipation for it until we actually showed it to the whole team. And they're like, oh, that makes more sense. And then, Nate, you mentioned Daphne. Daphne was hysterical to develop because she is so well written. She's so well voice acted, but there were so many hysterical moments with her character just disappearing and not coming back when she was trying to change her clothes, or just wandering off randomly in our internal play tests, that it became very much a moment of, where did she disappear? Like, where is this magic girl? She was a lot of fun to develop, and I'm really glad that people took to her so well, because she's one of my favorite items we've ever introduced.
Yes, lots of love for Daphne in the community. So cool to hear those behind the scenes stories and how you tease the rest of everyone else with your Slack icons, Nate. Jesse, how about you? Do you have any favorite moments from developing a season?
The thing I love about seasons development the most is just how big of a feature it is. It touches the whole game. So you get to meet with all different groups. It's a real sense of teamwork and accomplishment when you actually wrap a season and ship it. It's a huge relief when all that work is done. I also love the special one-off utility items, like the horse racing game or the West Virginia slot machine, because they're so unique. They're not like our other assets, so each one is almost developed as its own little mini feature. So it's really fun to see those come together and all the work that goes into them.
Nate then switches gears and asks what it has been like to develop for the Atomic Shop.
For me, I love it. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it, but I love the opportunity to. My big thought is I love giving players the option to tell their story in their way, right? Role players are a massive part of not just the Fallout game experience, but just all Bethesda games. We create these astonishing worlds that let players just sink into and create their own stories, live totally different lives. And for me, I like the Atomic Shop as a way to empower those players, give our players more tools to tell their story, more tools to build their worlds, more tools to make their characters living entities that now other players for the first time get to meet and story with and play with. And I just simply love that, having that opportunity to give that to our players.
That's definitely true. And, we definitely see different groups of people who have different tastes as well. I always like to consider the people who like the realistic items versus kind of some of our more wacky and goofy things as two opposing factions, where, you have on one hand the people who love the realistic stuff and demand more of it. And then when we do some of those, then you get the other crowd who comes out and says, we want more goofy stuff. We want more crazy stuff. Keep putting that stuff in the shop. So it's always fun to see where that balance winds up.
The next question asked was a bit long-winded, so to summarize, it was about how implementing fixes works for the items they create.
Yeah, absolutely. It's flexibility and it's risk, right? When we want to make sure that we are not breaking the game for other players, but the item, like to your example, getting an item to actually sink a little bit better or stand a little bit flatter on the terrain doesn't touch a quest, and we like to keep it that.
Nate then opened up the floor for the other Nate.
I think the only thing that I would bring up is I hope that my passion for building items for the Atomic Shop, for building these systems, for seeing the success of seasons and Fallout First Go Forwards, I hope that passion comes through, and I hope that our players recognize that the members of the Atomic Shop team are just as passionate, that we're all super excited to deliver this content, to make these items, to give players these opportunities, and that we, like I said, we listen to the community. We want to know what you want to see. Let us know. Tell us. We can't promise we'll get it there, but it helps us determine what is important and what we're actually bringing out.
Nate then asked why the Atomic Shop gets so many updates.
Yeah, happy to. Why does it happen like that? I mean, it's simply because we're a different team. Atomic Shop team is a smaller part of the whole that creates Fallout 76 and updates it and develops the amazing content that we're able to deliver to players. And that gives us a bit more flexibility, right? We're smaller. We have less risk in what we're doing. We're adding items into the game. We're not building quests, thankfully. And that gives us just way more flexibility to address those specific issues that get brought up by players. Also, we release content, the store updates every week. And in order to make sure that the store is updating every week, we have to make sure that we're putting in content in every patch. Since we're adding content in every patch, that gives us a much, quicker turnaround time on getting our fixes in. The main development team is usually so busy building the huge systems like Expeditions, the Pit, or daily ops. They don't have the same flexibility that we do to update each patch and update our items more quickly. So it's this interesting balance between us having a more aggressive timeline, but also that giving us a little bit more opportunity to fix the issues that we find or are reported by the community that we might have missed. And we also just want to make sure that when players are spending hard-earned money on buying items from the Atomic Shop, we do want to make sure that those items, are worth the money that they're spending.
As the dev dive came to a close, Nate gave the team the opportunity to give their closing thoughts.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks for the invite. It was fun being on the show. I can't wait to see how all the players react to Season 9 and the Fallout First enhancements that we've made. I'll definitely be checking the subreddit and Discord after the title launches.
Thanks for having us on. Thanks for giving us an opportunity to come out here and talk about what we've got coming with the seasons. And I just want us to say a special thanks to all of our players for giving us the opportunity to keep building awesome things every day. I hope that we're doing it for a very long time. So thanks.
Yeah, it's so much fun watching all the players, engaging in the various seasons. We love seeing how they land, reading through the feedback, and hearing about people's, individual journeys through the end of the scoreboard.
Some of you might be wondering why they focus so much on the Atomic Shop and other things that have to be purchased. At first, I thought to myself, boy, Bethesda really is trying to push the monetization for Fallout 76 here. As time went on, though, I realized that Bethesda was just trying to give us a look into this part of the game's development. There really was some interesting information from the monetization team. I feel like they don't get enough credit sometimes for the work they do. Besides the dev dive, there was more information given. For starters, we now know that the Test Your Metal update will launch on June 14th. 2 days after the Microsoft Bethesda showcase. For obvious reasons, more information will be given when we get closer to that date. We also found out that there will be a new pennant for testing the new Pit expeditions in the PTS, so if you have Fallout 76 on PC, head on over to the PTS and test out the Pit. Update 35, titled Test Your Metal, will bring 3 new major events to Fallout 76, those being Test Your Metal, Moonshine Jamboree, and Eviction Notice. I covered the information in a previous episode, which you can watch here. Personally speaking, I'm excited to finally get into the next update and go through the new scoreboard. The theme of the new board is interesting and lore expanding. The events will also be fun to do, and even those expand on the game lore too. I will be creating lore episodes for those, so stay tuned for that. Now that we have covered all the news, I want to hear from you. What did you think about the dev dive? Did it give you better insight into the inner workings of the dev team? Sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, give a like, subscribe if you still haven't, and share this with your friends. It really helps the channel, and I appreciate you all. As always, I'm just glad you stopped by, and I'll see you in the next one.